We are learning Java basics in a big course for Selenium automation. Today's agenda will be understanding more on data types part, arithmetic operations we will try, and we'll talk about operators also. So let's go on Eclipse and understand about the data type part. Okay. So I am doing right click on my package and I will say new class. Okay. And I'll give the name like data type demo. Data type demo. Okay. Here, if you see, it's showing you what is your source folder. My source folder is this, means the class which you are creating will be stored inside this SRC folder. Your package name is practice. You can change it also if you want to change it. Then modifier, it is showing that it will create one public class, right? Super class will be by default java.lang.object. We will talk about what is super class and all, right? And it is showing you that whether you want to create uh, some kind of main function or not, right? By default, if you want in your project, in your class, you can add it. It's like this. Okay. Fine. So I will say this. This will create a main function on its own. Okay, so it is giving me a template where main function is already there. So we want to talk about different types of data types, right? Yesterday we saw about the integer. We have already seen integer thing, right? But just for revision purpose, let's declare everything again. Okay. So for that, I'll go here again and I'll say data types in Java. We'll see any website is fine, just to see how many data types are there, right? And what is data type? Data type is required to, declare your different kind of data, right? Which you want to store in a particular variable. Okay. So if you see this hierarchy, data type is divided in, something like this. Data type, there are primitive data types, there are non-primitive data types. So these non-primitive data types are generally, um, created through primitive only, right? So this primitive is means the basic, very basic, which is provided by the programming language itself, and it stores the memory on a very basic level. Okay. Non-primitive is it is converted from the primitive and you can modify something here, right? So for example, in array, you can say what is my size of the array, right? In a string, you can store as many characters, right? But in primitive data type, you declare it like as a unit, as a one single variable only. So we'll see this example, don't worry. But let's understand whenever somebody asks what are different types of data types are there. So in any programming language, generally object-oriented one, you have primitive and non-primitive data type. In the primitive, then there will be Boolean, which is a kind of Boolean thing. Then there will be numerical thing. In the numerical, you will be having integrals. In the integrals, you have integer, floating point. In the float, you have float and double. In the integer means the proper numeric value. What you can do is byte, short, int, long. Character will be char, boolean will be boolean. But don't worry, you don't have to remember, the middle layer like this. It's better you say primitive data types are boolean, char, byte, short, int, long, float, double. That's it. So we should remember that primitive data types are boolean. So whatever is written at the lowest level, are primitive data types. Okay, fine. So it is showing us that this is the data type, and these are the default values of um, any variable which you will declare for Boolean. If you declare something in, so default value will be 0. Okay, we'll see this thing, and it is showing you that how much memory it consumes when you declare something like that. Okay, so let's understand one by one Boolean. So how to declare a Boolean variable? You can say Boolean, Boolean, you can give any name, Boolean Q, that's it. Okay, if I will print what is the value of Q by default, right? That is showing me error. It's saying me that the local variable Q may not have been initialized. So before you print something, it's better you initialize it. Before you print something, it's better you initialize it, right? You cannot do it like this, right? So it's better you will say, what is Boolean Q? Is it false or true? Okay, I'll say false. And now if I'll print it, so it's printing me false here, right? You can change it also. So at any point of time, if you think this is true, so change it. Why we use this kind of Boolean variable? Because sometimes you want to take the decision based on what is the condition, whether it is true or false. Okay, so a very simple example may be like, let's say there are two integers, integer x comma y, right? You can declare it like this, or you can say num1, num1, num2. Whatever name you want to give, you can give, right? And let's say num1 is 45 and num2 is 12. Fine, you can declare it like this. Integer num1 is equals to 45, comma num2 is equals to 12. The same thing you can write in two lines also, like integer num1 is equals to 45, semicolon, and integer num2 is equals to 12. That is also fine, right? You can write in two lines also. You can write in single line separated by comma also. That is also fine. I'll delete this part. And you want to check which number is greater, right? Based on that, you want to print something. Okay. So here, when you are checking, let's say, so there is a structure, if else structure. We'll talk about that thing later on, but it's very simple. If num1 is greater than num2, then you want to do something. Let's say, okay, you want to say that num1 is greater. Num1 is greater, something like this. And you want to put another if where you want to check if num2 is greater than num1, then you want to do something. So you will say system.out.println num2 is greater, something like this. Why we are doing this? It is like conditional thing you are checking. It's English like structure. If this condition is true, then do this thing. It's like this. Whatever you are writing inside its own curly bracket, it will execute those things. Okay. And then if this condition is true, num2 is greater than num1, then do this thing. It's like this. So as of now, the value of num1 is 45, value of num2 is 12. So this num1 is greater than num2, which will be true, which will be a kind of true value, correct? So if it is true, it will execute this. Then the control will come to 17th line. It's not like that it is executed. That means this will not get executed. This will also get executed, but based on the condition. So on the 17th line, we are writing if num2 is greater than num1. So num2 is 12. 12 is greater than 45? No. So this will not execute this part. This will continue. Let's say there is another line here. System.out.println hi. Something like this, right? So it will execute this line then, 22nd line. Okay. Let's run this program. And it's saying because of the 10th line, it is printing true. Then because of the 15th line, it is printing num1 is greater. And then if you can see 19th line is not executed because num2 is not greater than num1, correct? That's why it is not executed. I will give you this code if you want to try at your system. Okay, fine. But we were talking about the data type part, right? So in another way, I can store this true and false in a variable, right? What I can do, I can say q is equals to and this condition. So this will check and store num1 is you can put it in bracket for better clarity. This is better. What we are doing now is by default we are keeping q as true. Okay, now we are saying q is equals to num1 is greater than num2. So we are checking. So this will be whenever you are putting some kind of comparison operator, this is comparison operator. Okay, it will give you the answer true or false, right? There will be, when you are comparing something, it's generally true or false, right? So the thing is num1 is greater than num2. So as of now, num1 is 42, num2 is 12, right? So basically q will become true. Okay. And here, instead of writing num1 and num2, you can say if q. Okay. And you can have another variable. Let's say Boolean w. Boolean w is equals to, and we will switch this, basically this. And instead of writing here, I'll say w. Okay. Is it clear? It's very simple. What we are doing here is we are having another variable w, and we are checking the answer of whether num2 is greater than num1 will be stored in a Boolean variable, because the answer of this will be a kind of Boolean value, right? So once this is executed, this will be stored in W. As I said last time, that assignment operator means execute the right hand side, and whatever is the answer, assign it to the left hand side. So num2 is greater than num1 is a kind of condition check. If the answer is whatever, true or false, whatever will be there will be stored in W. Okay. So same thing, but we have now stored it in Q and W, and execution will remain same, because if the Q, whatever is the value of, if it is true, then it will execute this. Okay. If W part is true, then it will execute this. Okay. That's very simple. So if we will change the value now, let's make num1 as, let's say, 10, and num2 will be, let's say, 12. So this time num2 is greater than num1, right? So this time, if I'll execute this, it will say num2 is greater. Why? Because if you see sequentially, these are just declarations, right? Let's come to 14th line. We are saying num1 is greater than num2. Num1 is 10, num2 is 12. 10 is greater than 12. False. So W, the Q's value is false now. The value of Q is false. Okay. Here, in this particular example, Q will become false. Okay. Whereas W will become true. Okay. And hence, once you reach to 16th line, if q, which is false, so this will not get executed, because the requirement is, if this will be true, then only this block will be executed. The if structure works in this way. If this is true, then only execute this. If this is true, then execute this. It's like this. There is a else structure also, but we are not talking about that as of now today. Okay. So this is about Boolean. Let's go to the next variable, char. So char, you can declare it like this. Let me do it like this. We'll say char section is equals to B. You are in section B, something like this, right? So char, any variable name you can give, and you can store single characters only, okay? And you have to provide it in single quote only. Okay, you can print it. See, any variable you can print it if it is well defined and well assigned. Okay, so I can print section. Here you can say my section is, if you want to print in this way, you have to do it in this. If you want to print some characters as it is and the value also, right? So you have to write in this way. You have to say my section is, and whatever you want to write, it's not just my section. Whatever you will write, it will print as it is, and the value, if you want to print the value, you have to use the plus sign. So this is kind of concatenating or appending it with bunch of characters. So you have bunch of character as it is, which you want to print, and then the value it will print. It will not print SECTION. It will print actually B. Okay. So if I'll execute this, if we will execute this, see, it's saying my section is B, because system knows what is the value of B, right? On 27th line and 28th line, we are printing it now like this. My section is, let me show you clearly. Yeah, it's printing me my section is B. So because of 28th line, it is printing my section is colon. There is a space also. Plus sign means now I want to print some value. Okay, so the value of section will get printed. This is about character. In character, it's not just ABCD or a small ABCD you can do. You can have some special character also. So in section, I can override the value as, let's say in single quote, $sign. Okay, that is fine. Okay. And now if I print the section value will get changed. So now if we will run this, it will print my section is $. Okay. So you can overwrite any value. Once you declared it, you can overwrite it. You can change the value also. Okay. Fine. Let's move to the next data type, which is byte. So you can say byte E is equals to 34. Same thing. It's very simple. You can say byte E is equals to 34. And if you want to print the value of E, you can simply print it. Let's say E here. So it will print me 34. Nothing more to discuss about it. It's simple, right? Numerical value you can take whenever you are declaring something as byte. But there is a condition. It has range from -128 to +127. You can have only those values. Then there is short and long. All these things will have numerical value. Okay. So if I want to work with numerical things, it's better you use int, let's say R is equals to We did it like num1, num2, we have already seen. So no need to repeat it. We did it. Integer, we know how to work on it. Fine. Then next data type is the float. So float, if you want to declare, you can declare it like this. Float, let's say t is equals to 45.2002, something like this. But it is showing me error here because when you are declaring float, it's better you put it here f. Okay. And now if we will print it, so the shortcut to system.out.println is syso and then say control space. Control space. So this will, give you system.out.println and I can print t. So if I'll run this, it is printing me 45.2002. Can I change the value? Yes, you can change it. So you can say, let's say there are different ways to change it. I can say t is equals to t plus 2. Is it a valid statement? Mathematically, yes. Is it a valid statement? Yes, it's a valid statement. What happened? Okay, sorry. Yes, it's a valid statement that you can change the value of t. So what we are doing here, understand again how assignment operator works. Assignment operator means it will execute the right hand side first. So right hand side is t plus 2. What is the current value of t? Current value of t is 45.2002. If you add a 2 here, it will become 47.2002. Correct? So it will be calculated and then you are assigning it back to t. So that's fine. The new value of t will become 47.2002, something like that. So if you will execute this, you will be able to see it is changed now. That is float. Same thing, float, double, both will have, um, you know, let's say this is my percentage obtained somewhere, right? So let's assume this is 55.67 percentage we got. So let's declare it double now. Double percentage is equals to 55.67. Then you can print it. You can write it like this. Percentage is equals to plus sign percentage, the value of it, right? And then you can change it also if you want to change. So I can say here, I can say here, percentage is equals to, if I want to change it, percentage is equals to, let's say I want to say 400 .00 divided by anything. It's up to you. Let's say you want to calculate the percentage. The formula is generally marks obtained. So let's say you obtained the, let's say 360 marks you obtained out of 400, right? Well, it's better to put 0.00 because when you are, working on the double, it's better right hand side also you keep all the things as double multiplied by 100. This is the way to calculate the percentage, like marks obtained divided by total marks multiplied by 100. So you can have mathematical expression anywhere, right? And then we are printing it. So let's run this. It's saying percentage is equals to 55.67. And then it is calculating based on line number 44. And then we are getting this. Fine. I'll give you this program. The next, some of next lines I'm giving you, not everything. So you can see that and try at your end. Okay. So these are, we say, primitive data type, the basic data types, and there are some derived data types, which are, we saw it, right? There are string, array, okay? Array, we are not trying to do anything as of now because that will be a separate topic in coming days. A string you can understand. A string is very simple. In a string, you can declare it like this. A string y is equals to, my name is Testology. My name is QA Testology, something like this. So you can declare something in double quote, a complete sentence, some words, right? In between, whatever you can write in between double quotes is fine. You can assign it to a string, and then I can say print y. So this will print the same thing. My name is Testology and dot. Okay, fine. Same thing. You can change it also. There is nothing like you cannot change it. But string has some different kind of mechanism. But let's understand, you can, append it also. I can say y is equals to y plus, in the bracket, I can say dot dot, and I train people, something like this. Okay. So what we are doing, when you work, plus sign is generally we use with numerical values, right? But here you can use plus sign to append it. You can add two sentences also. So this is one sentence. You want to append another sentence like this into the existing value of y. It's possible. Okay. So now the complete sentence will be, let's see. So it will show you, my name is QA Testology and I train people, something like this, right? It is printing me because of line number 51. That's it about data types as of now.